The North American Council for Freight Efficiency is holding its 5th Run on Less demonstration and education program this year. It's returning to a focus on long haul, which was the theme of its Run on Less in 2017, where participants managed to average more than 10 miles per gallon. But this year, it's digging into a variety of technologies that are being used to power heavy-duty trucks more efficiently: diesel, natural gas, battery electric, and hydrogen fuel cells. And the organization at the same time is looking into the definition of long haul itself. I'm Deborah Lockridge, editor and associate publisher of Heavy Duty Trucking, and today I'm talking to Mike Roeth. He's NACFE's executive director. We're going to learn more about the run, about trends in alternative fuels and drivelines, and how the road to zero emissions is faring. So today I am talking to Mike Roeth. He's executive director at the North American Council for Freight Efficiency, about the definition of long haul and the messy middle. So Mike, welcome.
Hi, Deborah. Yeah, I'm excited to share some thoughts on this and just have a conversation with you. It's been a little while.
It has. It's kind of a lot of crazy things going on in the world, especially when it comes to emissions and electrification and all that. So maybe a really good time for messy middle run on less. So you put out a white paper recently about the definition of long haul. What led NACFE to look at the definition and come up with this paper?
Yeah, sure. So this has been bugging me and NACFE for a while, if not for most of my career, where when we hear long haul, we think about sleeper trucks, truckers sleeping in the truck stop, away from family a week or two at a time or more. I don't know if that goes back to Smokey and the Bandit days or what. Some of the listeners won't even understand that, but that's the picture we have in our mind of long haul.
Right.
And and yes, that is a part of trucking, but it's always bugged me that LTL, long distance return to base, wasn't included in long haul, and until we got range restricted alternative fuels, it was bothering me, but it wasn't something I thought was very important to bring up. But now with restrictions on range, I mean, if you've got 200 gallons of diesel fuel in the truck and you get 8 miles to the gallon, that's 1,600 miles. That's 3 or 4 days of driving before you have to really get serious about finding diesel fuel. And so now we've got natural gas trucks at maybe 800 to 1,000 miles, but that's a lot. And then battery electric trucks in the 300 to 500 mile range. And there's a growth in that regional haul, day cab, return to base. So what we've done with this paper is put out 6 or 8 pages, probably the shortest report NACFE's ever published. But it's focusing on, we think that long haul should include long distance return to base in its definition. So both return to base and over the road is our suggestion. And that's what we're focusing on with Run on Less Messy Middle for heavy duty right here in 2025.
Your drivers don't have time to waste time going off-road, rerunning a fuel card that won't authorize, or sitting on hold for support. That's where Multi-Service Fuel Card comes in. Trusted for more than 45 years, we provide the broadest truck stop network, fuel discounts, and 24/7 customer service that never leaves you hanging. Learn more at neverrollalone.com.
So let's talk about the Run on Less Messy Middle that you're doing this year, because that was kind of why you felt like you needed to define this long haul as you're looking at this for the project. So tell us about what's going on with Run on Less.
Yeah, so this is our 5th one. It's kind of amazing. Time flies really fast. We do these in the odd years, and so NACFE, really has become part of our work all the time. It's sort of like Christmas shopping. If you see something in June, you buy it, right? So For us, Run on Less occurs in September of the odd year. So in 2017, we did long haul, returned long haul. In 2019, we did regional haul. We did 2 electric Run on Less events in 21 and 23. And here now we're focusing on, long haul, which is really hard to decarbonize, with lots of solutions out there, and some of which, people think are never going to occur, and some of which are here, and more. Some people call it the easy button of decarbonization, maybe, biodiesel and renewable diesel and some of those things. So now was the perfect time, change in administration, a bit of a different look at all of these solutions, and also just burning less diesel, being more efficient is decarbonizing. If you can go from 7.5 to 8 mile per gallon, or 6.5 to 7 mile per gallon, you're getting the job done with less emissions and less cost, and that's a really good thing. So the run this year is looking at lots of different solutions: diesel, natural gas, with their renewable elements, the renewable fuels, renewable natural gas, renewable and biodiesel, battery electric trucks, and hydrogen fuel cell trucks. And so we're out searching for fleets that are operating these trucks, hauling real freight with real truck drivers and doing the run on less thing with them. We're calling it run on less messy middle. We could have called it run on less long haul, but the messy middle is provocative, I guess. We're excited to do this year. We've started our boot camp. So you can go on to runonless.com and join our boot camp sessions here from February to July. And it's the timing's right, because the fleets are, trying to figure out what they do. Do they wait on some of these solutions later on? Do they dive in now? And that's what makes it messy. We truly believe that it's messy because, there's a lot of solutions. I mean, kudos to the whole industry for bringing all these solutions to us. Now it's like, okay, well, the smorgasbord's been set. What do I go eat? And so what kind of trucks fleets are looking at it going, oh my gosh, should I eat fish? Should I eat beef? Should I have potatoes? Should I have vegetables and all that? And that's truly the place we're in. We the second white paper we've published is on the messy middle, and we've been, there's been a lot of questions. Mike, why'd you call it messy? That doesn't feel right. But I think it really does feel. We've many more people telling us it is messy. Messy is not a horrible thing. It just is what it is. We don't choose the messes we get into sometimes, but finding clarity and figuring out what's right for each fleet is what NACFE is all about and what we're doing.
Yeah, and I know there's so many questions. I think messy's probably a good word. It's at some point, if you're making a masterpiece, you've got to make a mess along the way. But yeah. So many questions, different solutions is way different from just, everybody's got a diesel truck. So how did you end up defining long haul for this look at the messy middle?
So we define long haul as long distance freight movement. So, that would be over the road is the term we use for these sleeper trucks doing irregular routes. Truckload oftentimes is what also described in this over the road sort of sleeper truck. I wouldn't call it chaotic, but seeing the whole country and trucks being diverted different places and getting drivers home when they can.
Less regular, irregular route. I think was the old term.
And then, but that also we ought to include the long distance return to base. So it's sort of classic LTL where, a SAIA, Southeastern Freightways, UPS, FedEx, where they're, multiple shipments in the same truck, oftentimes double pups because they've got, but they drop and hook, sort of pony expressing the freight, but that's long distance. So we call that return to base long distance, but we put that under the long haul definition because it's just challenging. It's a little less challenging for these alternatives because if that truck is returning to a base every day, the fleet has the option of putting that fueling or charging on site. So natural gas has been a great place. You can put in fast fill or slow fill natural gas at the depot because that truck's going to return. Unlike the over the road where, I've had fleets tell me that, they buy a truck, they give it to a driver and they never see it again. So it doesn't return to any of their sites. And so it still has the challenge of long distances for range limited alternatives, but it does have the predictability of dedicated routes or routes back to a site that then allows for the fueling infrastructure to be put in place.
By the same token, I know that some LTL operations, those trucks may be coming back to base, but then they're going to get used for another purpose on like on the night shift. So they don't necessarily have like all night to slow fill electric or natural gas.
Yeah,
filling.
that's exactly
So
right.
that's
I mean,
another
and that's another.
complication.
Yeah, and that's another unfortunate thing I think about. I think the less than truckload return to base part of heavy duty trucks is I don't know if they're more modest or if we just don't follow them as much. But when you think about efficiency and productivity, if you're doing, I had an LTL carrier describe a route as long, they called it. So what they meant by that, and then they call them long city or city long, where at night or during the day they're making a long run, dropping the trailer and coming back, and during the day or during the night they're doing cities. But if you're doing long, where you're doing a long haul during the day, switching drivers, and you're doing a long distance during the night, those trucks are putting on, they were telling me 250,000 miles a year. And so when you think about productivity and efficiency and getting the best out of the asset, wow. And so in that duty cycle, there's a lot of us thinking, well, battery electric trucks can't do that. You can't, today they flip those trucks in an hour. So driver comes in, refuels, does some inspections, get out of the truck. Maybe they do some cleaning of the cab, and then the next driver gets in and goes. But, with megawatt charging, that's being talked about quite a lot, then, that hour becomes sort of possible to do. And if the truck can do those long distances, now a lot of ifs here, Deborah, but if that truck can do the long distances, the more miles you get, the better the TCO will become for battery electric trucks, because now you're paying it off in a quicker time, and you're getting the diesel to electric cost benefits from the truck because it's doing a lot of miles. So, a way for battery electric trucks to actually pay for themselves is to run a lot of miles.
Yeah, and that's been one of the concerns about electric trucks. Like, man, they're really expensive up front, and how do we get our money back on that, and how long is it going to take? So in addition to long haul paper, you've also done one on messy metal. What are some of the things that y'all found in that project?
Yeah, well, first of all, we started calling this the messy middle back in 2018, and then we did a really detailed paper in 2023. So this is sort of leading up to Run on Less Messy Middle. This is us a little more like exactly what do we mean by messy middle. So it's a great question. So let me talk about middle first. I've already said a few things about it being messy, but to have a middle, you have to have a start and an ending. So we know that diesel's been the fuel for these trucks. Diesel engines have been the workhorse of freight movement for 100 years. I think 1931 is kind of a date people use when diesel took over gasoline to haul freight. And so that was the beginning. We believe that the future is zero emission. Now, it could be 2050, 2060, I don't know. But we believe that battery electric and hydrogen fuel cell and maybe some other forms will emerge and be the end game for what we're talking about here. So that creates a middle. So that middle has lots of things, better efficiency, biodiesel, renewable natural gas, hybridization maybe, hydrogen engines. There's a lot. And we described those in the paper. So there's a middle. And some of these technologies will start and be 2-3 decades long. I mean, we're talking about a long time. Where the messy comes in is both, back to my smorgasbord example, there's a lot of options. You really have to think about what do you really need for your business and how will these different technologies perform for you, and pick one and go with it to be more sustainable and save money and emissions and so forth. The other thing about the messiness is it's just not fleets that are seeing this. So the truck OEMs have to figure out, will I offer natural gas and biodiesel and battery electric trucks and hydrogen engines? I mean, can I offer all that? And, with only 200,000 highway tractors built every year, and let's say you've got 10% of that market share, you're only building 20,000 tractors. And so that's not a lot of business to be able to justify a whole bunch of product development and variation of these. So it's messy times for really everybody involved. Then you've got service and repair and all kinds of things. So that's what we mean and what we've detailed here and what we're calling the messy middle.
So it's been interesting to watch the progress or sometimes lack of progress on the zero emissions front. I think some of the long haul adoption has been a little more difficult than we might have thought 5 years ago or so. And we've got some startup companies going out of business. We've got changing regulations right now, and current administrations rolling back some of these funding, looking at trying to make California basically stop setting separate rules for electrification. Do you think that's going to affect this whole path?
Well, I think it's opened up more opportunities in this time period, in this messy metal time period. So I think that a lot of progress has been made on renewable fuels. A lot more capacity to produce renewable diesel. Not only California, which is something like 85% renewable diesel in their diesel. You pull into any like even car. If you try to fuel a diesel pickup, you're probably going to get renewable diesel in California, and an awful lot in Oregon, Washington, even into Utah and places where renewable diesel is becoming much more available. And also, there are concerns about how much feedstock we have. I mean, so how much can we produce? Also, on the RNG side, again, big growth in RNG production and transportation. And they're able to put it right in the gas lines that are running natural gas for, and so it's not like you need to get the RNG to the RNG truck. You can put RNG in the system and get the benefit of a much cleaner natural gas system or capacity. So I think this opens up a lot of opportunities for these different variations. It makes it a little messier for fleets to figure things out. Is a real reality here. On the same side or on the other side, I don't know how it is, but battery electric still moves forward. Battery prices have dropped significantly since the pandemic, and we haven't really seen that show up in truck prices yet because you've got a supply chain period of time. You've got agreements that have been made between the truck builders and the battery people. But, I've been saying a lot lately, don't bet against batteries. If you did, you'd be thinking you'd have this cell phone the size of a shoebox, and we don't. So charging speeds are going up, standardization is coming, weight reduction. We're seeing, we showed in Run on Less Electric Depot that, a truck could do over 1,000 miles in a day with fast charging and big battery packs and so forth. So, and then hydrogen. So I think, like any transformation, some people go too early, some people go too late. That creates, what you mentioned, some people missing the sweet spot on timing and not being ready. Some of these technologies may not make it. They may have been a good idea in the lab or a good idea in the testing, but when you really get out and manufacture them we got to think about a lot here. You got the truck. Is the truck zero emission? And what is the fuel? How green is the fuel? And so, we've published a lot of work on hydrogen. You can have brown hydrogen, blue hydrogen, and pink hydrogen, and and green hydrogen. So there is a lot going on here. But I'm excited about how committed the industry is to these things. Sometimes it's in more shorter term, simpler, straightforward things, and other people looking at the benefits of some of these zero emission pieces. But the industry's excited about it, about the plethora of options. Now it makes it confusing, but there'll be a right one for each one of them. And then the investment communities here. I mean, I'm surprised all the time at how much. There are some failures, but there's also a lot of money coming in on some of these ideas that really help our industry.
So tell me a little bit more about the Run on Less program this year with the messy middle. How is that going to work?
Yeah, well, right now we've got the boot camp going, so that's where we gather 300 to 400 people. We have like 700 or 800 register for each of these webinars. We're including workshops this time, so We'll do 3 1-hour webinars, and then we're doing a 2-hour workshop where, if you're in a 300 person or 400 person webinar, it feels a little lonely. You can't ask your question, you can't give your opinions. So in the workshops, the first one will be March 25th. We're creating breakout groups. We're creating a more informal way to participate by those that are there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So also with the run, we will have what people always know and love, and that is the videos, the profiles, the focusing. It's like we're hosting a bunch of case studies is some way I look at it. So we'll have 12 fleets running different technologies. All of them in long distance or long haul, some return to base, some over the road, and we'll be able to. We won't be completely comparing and contrasting battery versus biodiesel versus natural gas, but we will be showing similar duty cycles, and we'll be talking about the benefits and the challenges of each alongside the other. So rather than this being a 100% battery run or a 100% diesel run, we'll have elements of all these solutions happening simultaneously in September when we make the run happen. And I'm really looking forward to that because that's kind of what people want to know. Where does each of these technologies excel now, and where are they headed in the future to help the fleets figure out what's best for them?
All right, great. Well, Mike, any other thoughts, things we haven't covered here?
No, I just don't. I think I encourage everybody, whether you're a fleet or you're supporting a fleet, this is, we've been, as an industry, we're very collaborative, we're very innovative, we work hard to get the job done, move the freight, and this is a new challenge, but not one we can't handle. And we've handled other challenges in the past, whether it's pollutant emissions or deregulation, a lot of things, and we will find our way through this. And so lean in. Don't be scared, and figure out what's right for you and what the timing is, and make fun of being in this mess.
Feel like a kid playing in a mud puddle.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thanks so much, Mike.
Yeah, I appreciate talking to you, Deborah, as always.
We've been talking to Mike Roeth with the North American Council for Freight Efficiency. You can learn more about Run on Less at runonless.com. And attendees to HDT's Heavy Duty Trucking Exchange in September will get a closer look at what the organization is learning from this year's run. You'll find more trucking news and insights on our website, truckinginfo.com, where you can subscribe to our e-newsletters or to HDT Magazine. And don't forget to subscribe to HDT Talks Trucking on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode.